With the hotfix officially landing, it's time to get going on the patch. And so we've got a replay from Legend Slade X here, friend of the channel, long-time memer from XMT, and he's going all in on the heavy boys. So he's got Gorbad on foot, interestingly enough. Still very good stats all the way around. And he's got the buffs here. We've also got Black Orcs with rank 9. Great weapons here, no shields. Although we do have the Crimson Killers in the center. Have been a little bit reworked here. We'll talk more about that in a second. We've got the 8-peak loons and double single entity artillery with the Regiment Renown Rogue Idol, the big in here. Ragnarok Flinger as well. And they're going to be launching some shots. We've got a single Squig Hopper there. The Durkit Squigs in a vanguard looking to push up and pressure the Bretonnians, who are coming with a big old stack of infantry here. They've got some archers, got some foot squires, battle pilgrims, single halberd here, and some questing knights, along with Lewin, and some hippogriff knights, lore of life. Pretty standard Bretonnian build, nothing too crazy, but definitely nice to see. So, yeah, the artillery going to do some damage on the approach, kind of force the Bretonnians to attack. You can see Slade is set up with a pretty nice hill position here. So that is going to give him some advantage as he fights on the high ground. Flinger shots landing nicely as the Bretonnians advance here. These men-at-arms, of course, plentiful in number, can definitely weather the damage. Foot Squires also, given the rank 9 stats of the Black Orcs, going to have a little bit of a hard time trading cost effectively here, but you see the Hippogriffs starting to swoop into position as artillery shots continue dealing some damage. Archer's going to open up on the 8-peak loons there, and the Hippogriff Knights start to charge in and interrupt the throwing of the big idol. The rogue idol, the big in. You know what I mean. Little fanatics being unleashed there. Downhill, getting some nice contact on some of those men-at-arms as they pull up and start to shoot. But, yeah, Crimson Killers, they've had a little bit of a rework. They're no longer AP, but instead just have massive overall weapon damage. 22 AP still per swing, 54 base weapon damage with a +8 bonus versus infantry. And they also have both the Unstoppable Choppas and the Immovable Bulwark, so can definitely juice up that weapon strength even higher. Here we see the Hippogriffs, Questing Knights charging on in. They're going to get buffs from Lewin and debuffs from caster of the Greenskins here. Of course, that itchy nuisance. Earthblood as well. Lewin lowering the melee defense was sort of grown, so basically like a wash in terms of stats at the end of the day, but those rank 9 stats for the Black Orcs. Up to 58 melee attack without WA active, and that's with the Great Leader also, as Gorbad fights nearby. One thing about Greenskins units, Orc units in particular, they tend to have great weapon strength, but not the best sustained combat stats. So anything that can boost their melee attack, like WA obviously being built in, is very good. Also increases their weapon strength here. You can see these Questing Knights just getting absolutely dominated in this fight. Both the single entities as well for the Greenskins. Definitely taking some damage, but able to fight very well here with the Black Orcs support. The Black Orcs themselves are probably taking the most beating, actually, tanking the damage quite effectively for those big boys. Yeah, you can see this unit has taken a pretty substantial amount of damage, but yeah, with that AoE buff from Gorbad, that Great Leader, I mean, 58, 51, 53 attack, defense, weapon strength, just amazing stats all the way around. And granted, they are rank 9, quite expensive. Here we're going to see a unit take some shock damage on a rear charge there. Royal Hippogriff Knights getting the regrowth, refresh their vigor, and keep their health topped up. That being said, the two artilleries now come down the hill and start to fight in melee. We can see the Crimson Killer's been just mowing through everything without basically being touched at all. Issue with the Bretonnians, thing about their build here is they are going to have a tough time with the lack of armor piercing to a degree. But Durkit Squigs also came in, munched up a bunch of those archers while we were up on the high ground, checking out that other fight. Looks like they might get chased off there, perhaps. But while the Hippogriffs are away, Black Orcs and the Biggin will play. You can see Gorbad charging in here. Curious to know about Creative Assembly's decision. I mean, clearly he's carrying a shield on his back, And like in some of the artworks as well, he's actually holding the shield. I wonder why they decided not to have him be a shielded character. It can help him out a little bit. Not that he's super vulnerable to missiles, given he's a pretty small target overall, but still. Terror kicking in. There's no rail relic to help stabilize things here. And yeah, we'll see right now. Balance of power swinging in the Greenskins' favor. That being said, Hippogriff Knights and Lewin still quite healthy, and that is where the power of this Bretonnian build lies. So as long as there's still things potentially to try and fight alongside them. But right now, a lot of the Bretonnian units very well beat up. The Holy Wardens, probably the only sort of reliable infantry left here. I don't know, with Lewin hanging around, these Spearmen-at-Arms, other lower leadership units might want to actually stand and fight a little bit better. But let's see. Lewin's going to lead the charge very chivalrously, just impacting directly into the Black Orcs. You can see the, what is that, sneaky stab in there. That big ethereal blade pops up. VFX, of course, were reworked. Omens of Destruction for lore of Little and Big Wa, so a little bit easier to see at a distance. See also more Itchy Nuisance over here. Not that those units stayed much in the fight to get debuffed by it, but still, Holy Wardens trying to fight while the Hippogriff cycle charge. But there's just the one unit of Hippogriffs plus Lewin. It's going to be pretty tough. They do throw a nice sort of Corone in here, and that's going to significantly debuff melee defense of all these units, and in particular allow the Hippogriffs to get some good hits in. But again, the Holy Wardens just not able to stick around while being popped there, and it will be some damage on the Hippogriff Knights. Well, maybe not. Stand Your Ground actually being used in a nice counter response. Hippogriffs not actually taking a ton of damage there, and this is one engagement where the Crimson Kill is no longer having AP. It does hurt them to a degree, sort of Corone, debuffing them heavily. They're also getting low on Vigor now. You can see that Exhaustion starting to kick in, debuffing all their stats. So even with Gorbad, well, Gorbad's actually here securing the objective, but Bretonnians regrouping significantly, looking like they're getting ready for another push. Balance of power, kind of still not too far out of reach for them. Biggest thing for Bretonnia at this point would just be to kind of hang back, I would think. I mean, you can keep cycle charging here, sure, but like getting this Black Orc now that's separated out from the rest of these units, just go and pummel them, right? Punish that mispositioning from Slade. But you can see he switches directions pretty quickly, is going to realize he needs to keep these Black Orcs close. Gorbad also just solo capping the objective here. Try and maybe get out and snipe him with King Lewin while he's soloed away. But, yeah, these Spearmen-at-Arms here also aren't going to hold too long. Lewin fighting alongside them, and Hippogriff Knights in more of a sustained combat, not taking advantage of that 50 charge bonus, only taking some damage. But Damsel Lore of Life still alive, and the Flinger also in the distance. I mean, there's all that in the center that the Bretonnians are going to have to get through, but then also the Flinger is here. Just, you know, loosen some giant globs of web across the field, get some good damage in that way. Hippogriff Knights are pretty much done for at this point. Yep, stayed too long in that fight, took too much damage in the process. And, yeah, weren't even able to actually finish off any of the Black Orcs here. Even the AP Gloons technically survive here with 23 unit models. Of course, they're unbreakable, but still, it's a pretty all-in build from Slade. Love to see it. I would imagine he's going to be a person that would enjoy all aspects of this DLC, considering all those factions play into his playstyle. Ogres in Greenskins is main, of course, but like Ogres and Khorne definitely fun, kind of rush style, do some different things. I don't know. It's Slade, are you a Khorne enjoyer? Remains to be seen, but Crimson Kill is looking absolutely amazing. They've also had a little bit of a overhaul to their visuals, updates to their textures and whatnot. They're looking better than ever. You Bretonnians that remain are going to try and stand and fight here. It looks like the Hippogriffs were able to regroup, and actually with the Flinger now being separated, again, this is what Bretonnia probably needed to be doing more throughout the course of the battle, is just punish whenever units get separated here. With Lewin and the Hippogriffs now debuffing with Sword of Corone, despite the anti-large of the Flinger, it's still going to get punished pretty hard in this engagement. Lewin in particular with his melee attacks, but you can see also the damage in response pretty significant. That weapon strength definitely solid for the Flinger. That extra plus 24 bonus versus large. And yeah, that Spirit of Gork or Morg. Not sure. What is that actually from? Is this like a new army mechanic that I'm missing? Or no, that's from the Rogue Idol. Is it actually map-wide? Interesting. I forget that this exists and is a nice little map-wide +4 leadership and weapon strength buff. Every little bit helps over time. But yeah, you can see the Flingers just kind of losing out this engagement. Eventually Slade is able to get his other kind of slower troops over there to support. They weren't able to win fast enough to prevent that, but yeah, Bretonnia probably just needed to be cycle charging and trying to, again, hit those isolated units a little bit more throughout the battle. Lewin's going to make his final stand, get sandwiched between multiple giant, hard bodies. Yeah, Stone and Carapace just smashing him to bits, and there we go. Rogue Idol gets almost 4,000 damage value there. Of course, Gorbad's support abilities also greatly enhance the Rogue Idols, especially defensive capabilities. That +10 melee defense really does matter, considering sort of the range that it's in. It's likely to take a lot of hits from even lower tier, like anti-large infantry. So we'll look at more of that in just a second here. But yeah, even the Flinger also gets some mad value. Urkit Squigs, the Black Orcs. One of them does actually pay for themselves legitimately. The Crimson Killers also, I think, basically do as well. 8-peak Loons, nice to see some nice Fanatics cast there as well. And yeah, Gorbad on foot, just with this ultra-heavy just block of death. It's very fun to see. And for Bretonnia, I mean, other than like the Hippogriffs and Lewin, probably a lot of stuff is going to struggle to pay for itself, which is understandable. I mean, the hindsight 2020, you can't necessarily know what your opponent's going to bring. If Bretonnia had gone with more ranged, just like all in on archers and trebuchets, probably could have done pretty well here, but at the same time, that's like not a very viable build against a lot of Greenskins rush, so it's not something you're very likely to take, again, from the outset in this matchup, but definitely a fun one for sure. So yeah, Gorbad. Good old Gorbad. Really like his buffs, to be honest. Some people have said he's not the most exciting. I think he's honestly pretty good and fine for what he does. These two buffs in particular, of course, that melee defense, like I said, is extra important for the Green Tide, but especially even to the melee attack and the weapon strength as well. Yeah, plus 50% weapon strength. I didn't catch if he was throwing that on the Rogue Idol. I'd assume he would. But again, just multiple amazing synergy potential abilities here for the Rogue Idol. Yeah, expert charge defense as well, leadership, the melee defense is great. Even the Regiment of Renown Rogue Idol has pretty poor melee defense to begin with. That 30 melee defense, again, is pretty likely to take hits even from low tiers anti-large infantry. If you think like these guys, okay, they're like 35 melee attack versus a large target, and, you know, they're close, a little bit above base hit chance, which if I remember, is like 38%, something like that. So they're close to 50-50, a little bit less hit chance against the Rogue Idol without any sort of modifications there, which is, you know, doesn't sound great, but when you're fighting, you know, dozens, if not like maybe not 100 unit models. I mean, of course, the whole unit has that, but not that many are in contact at the same time, right? But you get my point. When you're surrounded, especially, it definitely helps to have that extra melee defense. So yeah, Gorbad, just the synergy here is incredible with so many different units on the roster. Those Black Orcs here, rank 9, is honestly probably not insanely expensive. Yeah, like 1,500, that's getting to be quite a bit, but the option in the Crimson Killers is one of them, of course. You get a little bit of a discount on them at only 1,350. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting one. You do have a little bit of range pressure too, and pretty serious like anti-infantry range pressure, it should be said, from the two single entity artilleries. So even though it's kind of a meme build, honestly, it seems pretty strong in a number of different aspects, and I really like the synergy directly from Gorbad. Really nice to see. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.